Diabetes. It's a word we hear all the time, right? But what's really going on inside our bodies? It can feel super complicated. But don't worry, in the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down using one simple analogy that makes everything click into place. Okay, let's just start with a number that should really make you sit up. By the year 2050, get this, projections show that 1 out of every 3 adults could have diabetes. 1 in 3. That is an absolutely staggering figure, and it's exactly why we all need to get a handle on what this really means. So, with a number like that hanging in the air, the first question is pretty obvious, right? What even is diabetes? Well, here's the official definition, but let's cut through the jargon. At its very core, diabetes is all about having too much sugar, that's glucose, in your blood. And it all boils down to a problem with a tiny hormone called insulin. Basically, the whole system for managing energy in our bodies has gone a little haywire. Right, so to figure out what's going wrong, we first have to understand what right looks like. Let's take a quick peek at how our body's energy system is supposed to work when everything is running smoothly. Okay, say hello to the star of our show, the pancreas. This little organ, kind of tucked away behind your stomach, has a massive job. It's the factory that produces that super important hormone we just mentioned, insulin. And this right here, this is the one idea you really need to remember from this whole explainer. The absolute best way to understand what insulin does is to think of it as a key. That's it. It's the key that unlocks the doors to your body's cells so that sugar can get inside and give you energy. So, here's the play-by-play for a healthy body. Step 1. You eat something, your body breaks that food down into glucose, which is just sugar. Step 2, that sugar zips into your bloodstream. Then step 3, your pancreas sees the sugar and goes, time to send out the keys, and releases insulin. And finally, step 4, those insulin keys find your cells, unlock the doors, and let the glucose rush in to be used as fuel. It's a beautiful, efficient process. And this picture shows that system perfectly. See that panel on the left, the one marked normal? You've got glucose, the little g, floating around in the blood. The pancreas sends out insulin, the I, which acts as the key, opens up the cell, and lets that glucose right in. Boom, energy. Simple as that. But what happens when that perfect system breaks down? Let's talk about the first big problem, type 1 diabetes. And sticking with our analogy, we're going to call this the case of the missing keys. So why would the keys go missing? Well, this is the really crucial part about type 1. It's an autoimmune disease. What that means is the body's own defense system gets confused. It looks at the cells in the pancreas that make insulin and thinks they're enemies. So it attacks them and wipes them out. The key factory gets shut down permanently. And you can see exactly what happens right here in this diagram. In panel B, for type 1, the pancreas is out of commission. It's not making any insulin. So you have all this glucose in the blood, but with no keys, it's totally locked out of the cells. It's just stuck there, building up and up. And that's what causes high blood sugar. Okay, now for the second problem. This one is way, way more common. We're talking about type 2 diabetes. And for this one, our mystery is the case of the faulty locks. Now, with type 2, the story is different. The pancreas is still making insulin keys. The problem is, well, it's one of two things. Either the pancreas just can't keep up and doesn't make enough keys, or, and this is the big one, the locks on the cells themselves are all jammed up. The key is there, it's trying to get in the lock, but it just won't turn. We call that insulin resistance. And this image here shows that insulin resistance in action. Look, you can see the pancreas is making insulin. The keys are floating around. But when they get to the cell, nope, the lock is busted. The key doesn't work. And the end result, it's exactly the same as type 1. The glucose is stranded outside the cell, and your blood sugar levels start to climb. All right, so we've got missing keys and we've got faulty locks. Two totally different problems, but they both lead to the same result. So let's just put them side by side for a second to really lock in the differences. This table really breaks it down. First thing you notice, look at the numbers. Type 2 accounts for like 90 to 95% of all cases. It's by far the most common. And the main problem is the complete opposite, right? Type 1 is no insulin. Type 2 is insulin resistance. And that also helps explain why they happen. Type 1 is that autoimmune issue we talked about, and it usually shows up when people are younger. Type 2 is more linked to things like genetics and lifestyle, and it tends to show up later in life. So whether you're missing the keys or the locks are broken, the result is the same: too much sugar in the blood.
And what's crazy is that your cells are literally starving for energy, even though they're surrounded by it. When this happens, your body starts to send out some pretty clear warning signals.
And these are the classic signs. You might feel super thirsty. That's your body trying to flush out all that extra sugar. Or you can be hungry all the time because your cells are screaming for the energy they can't get. Things like losing weight without trying, or finding that cuts and scrapes take forever to heal. These are all your body's way of waving a red flag, saying, hey, something's wrong here. So there you have it, missing keys or faulty locks. It's a simple way to think about it, but knowing that difference is huge. It's the first and most powerful step toward really getting it. It takes this big, scary, complicated disease and turns it into something we can actually understand. And when you understand something, you can start to deal with it. So the only question left to ask is, now that you know, what's the next step?